we were going to talk tonight about something that I think a lot of people may have heard of because it's just one of those cute memes that keeps going around. But there's actually quite a serious issue in there about property and sort of ownership of property that's not physical. It's or maybe intellectual property.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Sure.
And this is about the monkey selfie.
The monkey selfie. Yes.
Yeah, you've got the story, right, Brian? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, this isn't what you expect when you hear monkey selfie, right? Like you go to the zoo, you see a monkey selfie. Not the same thing.
No.
So a selfie is a picture that you take of yourself, right?
Right.
That's right.
And so there's been a monkey, right?
Is that what you say?
Rhesus.
Macaque?
I say rhesus monkey because rhesus macaque is the name.
You're the doctor. I don't know. So that's a rhesus monkey?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many of those have you killed?
None.
Okay. Because you've slain in your thousands of rats, right?
Mice, not rats.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever killed a rat, but a mice, definitely, for sure.
Slain. You've
Anyway,
slain in your thousands.
There's been a monkey that's taken a picture of itself. And it's quite a cute picture. It's actually a very good picture, you know. The monkey is smiling.
Yeah, it smiled, you know, and it has a nice grin to it.
If you've seen this picture, you probably will remember it because it's very memorable.
It's a good picture.
Yeah. It's a really good picture. So what's the issue with this?
It's completely lacking in inhibitions, right? Like he's just giving it a big old grin.
Yeah. The story comes from Gizmodo that I'm reading by Ashley Feinberg, and it's Wikimedia, and of course Wikimedia is the parent company of Wikipedia, won't take down this photo because a monkey took it. Time and time again, British nature photographer David Slater has asked the editors of Wikipedia to stop using his photos without permission. Unfortunately for Slater, at least in the eyes of the Wikimedia Foundation, they're not quite his photos because the monkey pressed the shutter. Slater, or depending on where your loyalties lie, the self-loving primate, took the photo.
You did it.
Took the photo all the way back in Indonesia in 2011 after Slater finished setting up his camera in hopes of capturing a crested black macaque. Is that how we did it?
Macaque.
Macaque.
Or macaque.
Macaque. Okay. A particularly curious member of the species sidled up and proceeded to take hundreds of selfies. Hundreds. So there's like just one, but this guy, it's tough not to call him a guy when he's taking pictures of himself,
he's
right?
Prolific.
Yeah. And let's see, as Slater explained to the Telegraph.
Perhaps.
Yeah. They were quite mischievous, jumping all over my equipment, and it looked like they were already posing for the camera when one hit the button. The sound got his attention, and he kept pressing it. At first, it scared the rest of them away, but they soon came back. It was amazing to watch.
It's like group selfies, you know. Like,
Yeah.
Hey guys, let's take a serious one now. Let's take a silly one now.
Okay, now make your weirdest face.
Yeah. He must have taken hundreds of pictures by the time I got my camera back, but not very many were in focus. He obviously hadn't worked that out yet.
Yeah.
One thing Slater didn't bargain for, though, is the fact that the photo's unusual origins make it fair game for free use in Wikimedia Commons eyes. According to a recent transparency report, all of Slater's removal requests have been denied because technically, since the monkey took it, nobody owns the copyright at all.
According to Wikimedia.
Right.
Right. That is their claim.
Yeah, there's no Supreme Court decision on this, right?
And I think that this is fascinating because it really sort of brings up that question of ownership when it comes to intellectual property. We've had people who are photographers and songwriters call this show, and we generally take the tack that intellectual property does not exist, and that, or if it does exist, that sharing isn't stealing.
Yeah, we've also had Stefan Kinsella on the show, who's one of the most famous voices against IP, and he's actually an IP attorney. So there's that too.
Indeed. So in this case, now it was what's the photographer's name?
Slater, David Slater.
It's Slater's equipment, but the monkey presses
the button. And
so,
wait a minute, why does he want the images taken down? Is he claiming that they're his and he wants to control them and sell them to newspapers and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. He's claiming IP. There's been $17,000 in legal fees that he's already been paying out, and he's trying to resolve all of this.
Wow, that sounds so silly. I mean, because the image is out there now, right? It's already been released to the world.
There's no getting it back.
Yeah.
But this is kind of what intellectual property is about. I'm going to put something on the internet. I'm going to let you look at it, but if you try to use it, whammo bammo, I'm going to get you with the lawsuit, and you're going to pay 10 times what it's worth because we got to feed the lawyers' families too.
It's just an old business model, you know. Like there are lots of creative people on the internet who find ways to make money from their work that don't involve like restricting the use of images or podcasts or whatever. I mean, Free Talk Live, we are practicing what we preach on this because we actually give away our podcast for free, and we say, hey, you can use it, you can remix it, you can chop it up, and in fact, someone does that. There's a weekly digest of Free Talk Live that has excerpts from all 7 nights of the week, and it sort of gives a weekly summary. But if our
podcast, you can
podcast
go to digest.freetalklive.com and get that if you don't want to listen to all. I guess with the podcast, it comes out to something like 14 hours a week of Free Talk Live, but that's still a lot of podcast to consume. Yeah,
that's kindly put together by Benjamin Bartholomew there.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be able to do that if we had sort of locked down and copyrighted our podcast and said, no, you can't do anything. You can't make any derivative works without asking our permission or whatever.
Well, I think they're getting into some really serious areas here. There's a couple interesting points to the story, but one of them is that now, if this was the age of the Polaroid, or of the film, of film, you would have to take film to get it developed or whatever. I think it might end up being a very different story. Now, I don't agree with IP at all, but in that case, you have something that you would to some degree have genuine like control over. I think you could say where that film goes, where that Polaroid goes, whatever the case may be. But the digital world, IP didn't have any, the ideas of intellectual property had no understanding of the digital realm and how that works, because this really should go a lot farther.
Yeah.
And because how many people's pictures, including Slater's, I'm sure, because a lot of cameras, your DSLR cameras, all of them are connected to the internet now. Even if he's out in the middle of nowhere, I wouldn't be shocked.
The NSA has all our pictures.
Sure, the NSA or Google, everything gets backed up to the cloud, so then it's on those servers. Should Google be paying you for holding your pictures? Now, you can say you use the terms of service that does that, but hold on. Then, where does this go? Where does this end?
Your copyright. I mean, the whole thing gets really silly. They're really archaic laws.
Are you familiar with these wildlife cameras that hunters will use, and just people in general?
Yeah.
That, you like strap them to the side of a tree, and they take pictures when something moves in front of them.
Right.
Who owns that?
Yeah, that's a motion sensor, so nobody pressed the button.
Does
in
the
that
computer?
case.
Does the little gizmo own its own pictures?
And what about the moose's privacy?
Indeed, the moose. It's been violated.
855 450 free here on Free Talk Live. Can a monkey own a selfie that it takes? What do you think? I think we're going to continue talking about this monkey selfie issue and the intellectual property thing. Did you guys, was there more on that article, Brian, or did you just want to launch into the discussion?
There wasn't really anything more other than that he was, paying out. He's already paid out $17,000. David Slater, the photographer who is having the issue here.
So David Slater, he goes out to take pictures of macaques or rhesus monkeys.
Yeah, we're recapping here?
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
And he's got his equipment out, and then he gets kind of swarmed by little happy monkeys. And by the way, I would be petrified, right? Like I'd pee and then, then decide what to do at that point. Because I would be afraid that they bite me. And, I'm out there in the jungle, rabies, I'm not sure. Yeah. Do I make it back to camp?
They're curious. You don't know if they're hungry. They're going to want to...
Who knows what they want? So anyway, one of them manages to get the camera, starts pushing the button. It makes whirring noises, scares all the other monkeys away, but he keeps taking pictures. He takes apparently literally hundreds or
at least 100.
At least 100 pictures of himself. And one of them is really great. We're looking here at a picture of him, and he's smiling unabashedly into the camera.
That's one of the aspects of this, is that it looks very human-like, know, and taking a picture of yourself is something that we think of as a very human action or a human-like action. And I think
they even call animals, to some extent, specifically apes, they call them non-human persons.
Yeah.
So apes, dolphins, and a variety of other sort of intelligent beings they call non-human persons is what sort of working its way through the legal system today.
Yeah.
And I suspect it will at some point go.
Well, in India, dolphins are already non-human persons, and the UN is working a new chapter, I think they call it, through to talk about some of these various animals being that. And I'm open to that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, monkeys can recognize themselves in the mirror, and so there's a test for self-awareness among animals where basically the researchers will draw a little dot or something on the animal's forehead and then put a mirror in front of them and see if they try to rub their forehead to get the dot off, because that means they know that they're looking at themselves in the mirror and not at another animal.
Monkey.
Yeah.
Right.
Some other monkey that has a dot on its head. So you could imagine that the monkey might have some degree of awareness about that. Like it might know that it was taking a picture of itself if it could see the preview of the picture, in the camera.
I mean, I think Wikimedia is doing the right thing in saying that nobody owns this shot. Like, I agree with that assessment, and because I don't think there's any argument that the monkey owns it. And the reason I say that is that by Slater's description, the monkeys were they seemed to be not obsessed with the camera, but with the clicks. They were obsessed with the sound of what it was making. And I can understand that, because I do have a hard time, as much as I am open to various animals like elephants and whoever else and dolphins being non-human persons and having a degree of complexity to their mentality. I just can't believe they knew what they were doing. That it was a camera.
So then does that mean that if you have a camera automatically taking pictures every so often, but there's no human that's actually pressing the button, that nobody owns those pictures?
I think that's interesting. And like, okay, so if you time a camera and tell it to take pictures every 15 minutes, it could be argued that you took the picture because you set it. However, I think these wildlife cameras are very interesting. So you set up a camera on the side of a tree, you strap it down, you turn it on, and then it takes pictures when something goes by. And I think that, therefore, you aren't taking the picture, it's taking the picture itself.
Yeah.
And do we think that there's going to be do you think artificial intelligence is going to exist in the future? And if so, what's that look like? Because at this point, the camera appears to be taking pictures when something goes by.
Yeah, so does the camera have it? I mean, the thing is, this is all under the paradigm of intellectual property,
which is
defined
already
by the state.
Nonsense.
Yeah, which is total nonsense. And examples like this really illustrate how absurd it can get when you're talking about, well, who owns this picture? Is it the monkey, or is it the camera, or is it the man? And like, why don't we just say that images are a type of thing that, yeah, you can put on the internet. They're concrete, they exist, but they can be copied indefinitely. And so copying those images is not stealing. You're not depriving anybody of the picture.
Right. Photographers are moving into a realm where people are going to ask for specific pictures of specific things. Businesses will want pictures of their products. They may want pictures of certain areas or something like that. And people are always going to be interested in wildlife pictures where you caught the critter doing the amazing thing, whatever that thing was.
Yeah, animals are fascinating.
People are going to want pictures of their families. But I mean, like, for instance, when you get the picture of your family, it says proof in big letters across it. I think at that point, you've taken the steps to protect your intellectual property.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. Sometimes when I send auditions for voiceover jobs, because I'm a voice actor, and so sometimes I send audition samples for free, basically, to the client. But if it's a really short job, if it's just a few words or one line, what do you do to prevent them? What's to prevent them from just using your audition?
I don't know. What do you do?
Well, you can watermark it. I usually don't, but you can. And some voice actors do. Watermarking is like when you put proof over a photo in kind of transparent letters. It makes it so that it's unusable for the finished product, but they can still get an idea of what it sounds like or looks like.
Yeah.
So what do you do to it to watermark it, though?
So in a watermark, in an audio file, usually in the background, it would be like a soft voice saying like Stephanie Murphy or something like that.
I see.
Or music in the background or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is getting solved. Online, there's various websites that what they do now is they give you the opportunity to pay the talent and not for the product. Because, I don't. How do you charge for something that gets infinitely copied? I mean, part of the spirit of IP was protecting scarcity.
Are you talking about that website?
There's a few of them out there.
Yeah. So there are some websites that basically you can kind of amass a following, and you as an artist or a podcaster or whatever will get
whatever it may be for.
We'll get like $1 from every fan every time you release a new song or a new podcast.
Right.
And so that's one way to kind of just leverage your reputation that you create by giving away stuff for free. And that's a creative way to sort of make money without having to lock down your product and sort of go after your customers with the legal system to try to get them to give you money, which is a very adversarial kind of relationship.
And a miserable way to live.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're,
who wants to police that,
There's this one woman who created some poem that people seem to like on the internet, and basically if she finds it on your website, she goes and harasses you for money.
Oh my God, seriously.
I mean, so now what we have is a poet who isn't out producing poetry, but instead is out policing intellectual property.
Yep,
I think
really
this is just a realm of waste in our society. The whole intellectual property IP troll.
Yeah. Totally. And this has changed. It's a different society now.
No, it is. And I think this is far superior to do it this way. Say there's an author, okay, a personal favorite author of mine, Harlan Ellison. I would love, he's not writing any more books. The guy's practically 80. He's still putting out some stuff, but I would love to continue to pay him yearly for, work that he did 50 years ago. And now you can do that without having to waste the paper or whatever to keep buying more and more copies. You could do it that way too, I guess. But really, forget just novels. Take whatever talent you're interested in. This gives you the opportunity to continually pay for something that changed your life, say, at one point. And that's why people buy things, right, is to enhance their life a bit, when it comes to art. I think that's a fact.
I think often the reason that people don't pay for things like digital goods, for instance, books or photos or art or poetry or whatever, is because there's just no easy way to buy it.
Sure.
Like having to enter your credit card info for a small charge is like a big annoyance.
Bitcoins are going to get so ubiquitous that you're going to be able to do these online tips where you can just throw a quarter or whatever in.
Yeah.
Right.
But when you can have everybody who enjoyed just your internet post or your essay or your song or whatever toss a quarter at you, you're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
If Barbara Streisand, every time somebody enjoyed her music, or at least every few times somebody enjoyed their music, they could toss a quarter at her, she would be she is extraordinarily wealthy, but she would be just as wealthy as she is. So
yeah, but maybe she's very wealthy because she's been so successful, but how much money did she miss out on making because her record companies made that money instead of her? It went to them.
Also, I kind of wonder with somebody who made a song a long time ago, the Happy Birthday song we thought up until recently was copyrighted.
Oh yeah, that got debunked, huh?
Got debunked. But let's just think of a song from way back that still has the oldest song currently that is copyrighted. Whatever that is, I don't know what it is. Really, should the children of somebody who wrote a song never have to work again? Now, this is some waste in the marketplace, right? Like you've got people who never have to get a job and never have to produce anything because Daddy wrote the Happy Birthday song, or Grandpappy, or Great Grandpappy.
Maybe that would happen in a free market, but it's happening artificially now because of the state-enforced intellectual property laws.
If anybody supports intellectual property, and that's fine, but I want you to consider you're not paying the guy who created the wheel every time you drive.
Yeah, give us a call if you do support it, and we'll have a discussion. 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live, the Sunday show. More coming up.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.